Welcome to Curious Truth. I am Kim, your host. Today is about the mystery of Harkers Island. Harkers Island is on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Back in 1707, Farnafold Green was the first owner of Harkers Island. Back then it was named Craney Isle. It was known for hunting whales and fishing for mullets. In 1730, Ebenezer Harker, a New England whaler, purchased the island, built a boatyard, and built his plantation. The island was renamed after him, Harkers Island. Ebenezer Harker married Elizabeth in 1714, and they had 6 children. When Ebenezer died, he left parcels of land to his sons. Growing up, I had always heard of Harkers Island. My grandmother, uncles, and aunts always talked about how our family used to own it, but somehow, no one knows why we didn't own it anymore. As I got older, I got more curious and would ask my grandmother questions about it. She told me all she knew. She asked me on several occasions to please find out for her. This was one of her biggest wishes, was to know why we didn't own it anymore. What happened? Before my grandmother passed away in 1992, my father, stepmother, and uncle tried to find out for her. When my father and stepmother went to the island to ask questions, they were told, "Get the hell off the island and don't come back." Why would they be told that? What went on? What happened? I got more curious. One of the last wishes my grandmother asked me for before she died was to continue the search to find the answers. For the past 12 years, I have been researching for answers. I did find out my bloodline to Ebenezer Harker. It went Ebenezer Harker, who had a son named James. James had a son named James. James had a son named George. George is my great-grandfather. George had a daughter named Thelma, which is my grandmother. And then Thelma had a son named Jerry, which is my dad, and then me. 4 years ago, my son and I took a trip to Harkers Island. First, we stopped at the courthouse in Beaufort, North Carolina. We had been told this was where all the land deeds for Harkers Island were there. When we walked in, a lady asked if she could help us. She was friendly at first until she found out why we were there. I told her I needed to see all the land deeds from the 1700s till now at Harkers Island. She asked why. I responded by just telling her that I was doing some research. I didn't tell her I was a descendant of Harkers Island, but at this point, the look she gave me was of anger, disgust, and aggravated. She took us in a room and stood at the door and said, with an attitude, "The books you need are there." I asked, "If I have any questions or need help, would you come help me?" She responded, "No, those are the books you need there." I was taken back by her responses to me. I felt as if she knew more information than just those books, that there were more books, articles that I could have researched, but she didn't and wasn't going to tell me. Looking at the deed books, it shows when Ebenezer Harker bought the island, and it showed only deeding one of his sons' land. But in Ebenezer's will, it states that his sons were to inherit the land, which they did. When we got to Harkers Island, 30 minutes from Beaufort, we drove the island. At the end of the island is a museum. We stopped there to see if there was any information we could find out, but there wasn't anything. I asked a lady there, who was very polite to us, if any of the Harkers were buried on the island. She didn't know, but told us where to find the only cemetery on the island. We went there. It wasn't a very big cemetery at all, but we had looked through it. No Harkers were buried there. That was strange to me. This is Harkers Island, named after Ebenezer Harker, and no family is buried there. We drove around some more, and as we were getting ready to leave the island, we passed 3 headstones. Sitting by a driveway, we stopped to see whose they were. On the headstone, there was Ebenezer Harker, Elizabeth Harker, and his sons. I later found out from more research that the driveway beside the headstones was where the plantation stood. But where was his other children's graves? Why weren't they buried on the island? The only 3 Harkers that remained buried on the island were those. After even greater research, I found out that some of my ancestors are buried in Wilmington, North Carolina, 2.5 hours away. Why? Why would they transport the bodies 2.5 hours away? I have yet to uncover what happened to the land. Why don't the Harkers own it anymore? My truth is, after my research that I have so far, is that when Ebenezer Harker gave his sons pieces of land in his will, he also gave each of them slaves. These were 3 slaves also that had been given land Not much, but still land. Was this the answer I was looking for? Did it make the rest of the townspeople angry that he had left slaves' land? Is that why our name is tarnished? Is this why no one will speak to you if they know your ancestors were Harkers? My truth is that he gave his slaves land. Townspeople got angry about that, and we somehow lost the land. We, my ancestors, had more heart than most people back in those days. Were my ancestors good people and helped people instead of treating them like animals? What is your opinion? What do you think happened? If anyone has any more information, please contact me. I'm at a dead end with my research to find out the truth. Leave a comment below, and thank you for watching.